You know, most people, when the topic of AI comes up, they get all doomery and think like, "Oh, AI is gonna take all of our jobs and it's gonna take over humanity." And I actually am one of the few people that doesn't think that's the case. And I think humans will be very triumphant over AI. I really believe that to be true. Um, and so I'm going to get into why in this video a little bit. And as always, I'm going to use our good friend, Mr. Friedrich Nietzsche here to help us think through this, okay? So, first, I want to tell you a bit of a story of my perspective on AI. So, I've used AI art in the past, in the very recent past. I used it to help with storytelling in my old YouTube channel, and actually, the very first YouTube channel on this channel here, first YouTube video, I should say. I actually used a lot of AI art, and it's fascinating how you could just be like, I use Midjourney, just do slash imagine, you just let your imagination take hold, and then it takes something, um, or it already always makes something beautiful, like almost immediately. It's incredible, right? And you have all these different options, and then if you don't like it, you can just do like refresh, and it'll just keep generating more images. These these are original images that have never been seen anywhere before, right? But here's the thing, this is something that a lot of people don't know about AI art, is that um, it's not original, right? It's an original image, sure, but what's actually happening is that it takes a collection of all these images based off of keywords that you type in, it scours the internet, and then sort of creates kind of like a collage of different things that matches that term. And so it's a kind of interesting experiment that you can do is if you actually like Google, if you type in something on Midjourney, whatever, and then you Google the same exact thing, then similar kind of images will pop up. I've actually done that once or twice where it's like you can actually see where some of the source material and stuff came from, you know? And so, well, how does this relate to humans being triumphant over AI? Well, in order for AI to work, I think what would actually have to happen is that there would have to be a fundamental essence to human beings that we can nail down and then we can emulate in AI. And I don't think that that's actually possible. All right. Now, funny enough, most religions actually do think that's the case. That there's a fundamental essence, there's a soul to each of us, the thing that makes you you. Right. And this is something that Nietzsche explicitly rejected, is that he did not think that there was like a single entity I that makes me me. So he very much denied Descartes' I think therefore I am, right? He denies that there is an I who thinks and that we are instead a very complicated organism, a collection of spirits and drives um, that is encapsulated in this body and who we are, and this the conflict and collaboration of those drives help brings about sort of this world that is you. That's why every single person that you meet, even if they're unintelligent or they seem unintelligent or seem uninteresting, they're actually inherently a very interesting person because they have many of the same drives, almost all the same drives biologically, because we're all the same species as you do, right? So you probably think you're an interesting person, even though maybe you're objectively not. But I think, well, objectively, right? You actually are an interesting person based on what I just said. Everybody is, because you still have these sort of gods within you. The Greeks believed that we were the playthings of the gods, right? Can you really say that you're the same person when you're like really horny, as opposed to like when you're really angry or when you're really hungry? No, a different god takes hold of you in that moment, and one god might be triumphant over another god, right? So if you're really hungry, um, but you need to get a lot of work done. Okay, well, the god of hunger is fighting against the god of productivity, for example, and then the god of hunger usually beats the god of productivity from that standpoint. You know, it's literally an entire theater and an arena of all of these drives constantly clashing against one another, and that is the human experience. And I think what ends up happening is people believe, and this is where this belief that AI is going to take over, people believe that there is a central essence to humanity, to being human, that AI will be able to emulate. And I don't think that that's possible. I really don't. And if that isn't possible, then how could we possibly create something that is better than ourselves if we cannot even understand ourselves, or we're so complicated that it is actually impossible to actually copy us, right? So to copy us and become even more sophisticated than we are. Because sure, it's possible. Like there's already things out there that are way more intelligent than we are, you know? Like you have the stockfish AI that'll just destroy anybody in chess. You have the if you saw the Go documentary on YouTube, which is excellent. There's already like that Go thing that can beat the best Go player in the world. That is all about strategy and all their different things, right? Purely from an intelligence standpoint, AI has already beaten us. Okay, they're already smarter than us. So why is it that we still don't feel that they are better than us or they've superseded us yet? It's because they don't have creativity like we do. The superpower of man is, and Nietzsche didn't believe everybody had the ability to do this, but you know, I I think people do. This is my personal maybe disagreement with Nietzsche, is that we have the ability to create values. We do. Um, we have the ability to sort of create our own narratives, create our own world. And you could say maybe only a few gifted, select few of us can do that. And then we follow that. Regardless, there's this level of creativity that we have that I really do not think AI will be able to ever emulate. And the best thing that it'll ever be able to do is do a crude imitation, a crude copy of what that is. And so the AI art example that I gave at the beginning is exactly my point, is that it just kind of takes all of these things that it thinks what art is and puts it together. And sometimes it comes up with something beautiful, but I've never seen AI art come up with something more beautiful than an actual artwork or an actual painting, right? So like it doesn't capture that emotion. It gets close, but it's not quite there. And I don't think it's ever going to get there. And I think it's the same thing with just AI. If we try to like make AI into a human, or we start having AI girlfriends and whatnot, there's just going to be something a little bit missing, because the AI itself can never nail down what a human being actually is in its essence, because there is no essence there. We are just a collection of drives constantly battling each other, constantly collaborating with each other. And that is the entire human experience, as I said earlier. And I do not think any AI is ever going to be able to actually capture that. And I think that's great. That makes me less is one of the reasons to study philosophy, right? Or study great minds like Nietzsche, or just study psychology in general, is that you can kind of think through this and actually be a little bit more hopeful and optimistic. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, okay? Um, because there is something to consider, which I think is very important, is a lot of people are going to lose their jobs and their livelihoods because of AI. This is something that's this isn't some spicy hot take. I think everybody believes this. And I think it's because it's similar to if you're doing something that doesn't really require any creativity, doesn't require not just abstract thought, but requires you to have all these different multifaceted ideas and then create something new, right? Creating value, which is something that I don't think AI has the ability to do, which man does have the ability to do. AI can only have a crude imitation of what they think creating value is, right? And so, if you're just like a coder, for example, right? Like I think AI is going to take that over one day, unless it's like really advanced coding, which require it's almost like an art form. Like those people will be fine, but if it's like very basic level, like HTML coding or whatever, basic website design, all that shit, that's going to be replaced. Um, Even things too, like with what I do with fitness, okay, fitness programming, something that's very what Martin Heidegger, the philosopher, I don't talk about too much here, but I really love Heidegger. I just don't feel like I'm an expert enough on him yet to really like give lectures or talk about him yet. But anyway, he has this idea of the ontical versus the ontological. To make it as simple as possible, the ontical is more just like basic facts about the world, and the ontological is more your perspectival human life experience and how you relate to the world through that lens, right? And so the ontical type stuff that doesn't basically just by definition doesn't really require that much creativity, all that stuff's going to get replaced by AI, right? And a lot of people most people aren't creative, but a lot of people have the types of jobs that are like that. They specialize in an ontological profession, which will be replaced one day by AI. However, this one, the more sort of ontological side, that inherently requires some sort of creativity, inherently requires some sort of personal touch. I think those things will never be replaced, right? Being the guy that comes up with great ideas that moves some company forward, or really innovates something, or really makes the workers within their company or their organization really happy because they understand humans and they're able to empathize with them. You know, I think those things will never go out of style. Those are the types of things that AI can never be able to replace. It can only have a crude imitation of it, and something's always going to be missing a little bit, similar to AI art, right? And so, if there's a point to this video, is one, I would want to, inspire a little bit of hope, not some doom and gloom. Actually, look at AI as being like, oh, this is something that can potentially help our lives and help improve our lives in the future. um, and it's not just like this big evil thing, because I really just do not think that it's going to take over. Right? Again, if it would take over, there needs to be a central essence to what human beings are. This is why people are obsessed with the idea of free will. Right? Okay, well, if free will exists, if there's a singular agent that's making all the decisions, then AI will be able to copy that, and then we would all be fucked. Like, because they could just become a better version of us, right? However, if that didn't exist, if the I doesn't exist, there's just an infinite collection of drives all trying to vie for power all the time within us, and that's the human experience. It's just inherently chaotic. How the hell is it going to be able to emulate chaos in a rational, orderly order? It just can't do that, right? So it's almost like the chaos of humanity, the chaos of the human experience, although it's very scary and sometimes it can be annoying because it can wreak havoc in our own lives and we can never accomplish the things we really want to because other drives, other primal drives are always coming into the forefront and distracting us. That's the very thing that's going to protect us from AI taking over. It's going to be the thing that keeps us human, you know? Um, But that said, the ontical side of things is going to be taken over. And so I think now it's more important than ever to just learn general skills. There's a book that I started reading. What was it called? It's the subtitle of it is how the generalist will thrive in a specialized world. I forget what the damn name of the book is. Anyway, um, sort of the thesis of the book so far is that instead of trying to specialize and doing a bunch of it's better to be a master or jack of all trades, right? But more specifically, and this is my own interpretation, this isn't necessarily what the author is saying. You're not a jack of all ontical trades. You're a jack of trades that are more, I guess, for lack of a better term, ontological from a Heideggerian sense of saying like, um, being somebody who is very articulate, being able to have a wide variety of words that you understand to build concepts off of, being able to um, verbalize your thoughts, being able to be very empathetic with other people, and being able to understand them, right? Understand other human beings, being able to build coalitions and whatnot, all these sort of intangible skills that aren't really obvious, right? How to be charismatic, how to tell stories, how to be interesting, how to speak extemporaneously, just sort of being good at a bunch of different stuff. Having the skill to just overcome fear, you know, um, even just being able to develop yourself into the type of person who can act despite being afraid of something and not letting the fear of rejection paralyze him and doing it anyway. That's like a superpower in the modern day, especially because more and more people are becoming more insecure and weak, right? Um, I think those are the types of things that are going to help everybody in a world that becomes more automated, more run by AI, and the wealth inequality and stuff keeps furthering more and more, where the rich become richer, the poor become poor, right? Like, um, the way in which you can still sort of sustain yourself and compete is becoming more of sort of that generalist, something that I think AI won't really be able to emulate. Or if it does emulate it, it's going to be a very crude imitation of it. Now, let's just say that I'm wrong about this stuff and AI does end up, being able to copy humans or even become better than humans. Well, at the very least, if you start to focus on these things, sort of like the general practices of being, it's almost like for lack of a better term, like the liberal arts degree of what it used to be. Now, like the social justicey thing has become, just being well-rounded and good at a bunch of different stuff. I think that stuff is going to carry over way more and be way more predictable of you seeing success despite whatever doom and gloom seems like is ahead of us in the next few decades or so. So yeah, you know, just some thoughts for today. I think AI is it's fascinating and it's too relevant to completely ignore. So that's why I'm talking about it. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I think central to the thing that I talked about here is the idea that uh, the fact that free will doesn't exist, that I believe that it doesn't exist. Empirically, I don't believe it exists, is the very thing that's going to prevent AI from becoming better versions of humans because we can never even become the best versions of ourselves. um, anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'm going to try to add some additional thoughts on Instagram. So go ahead and follow me there. You could actually see it right here. There we go. Watching the screen there. Yep. Beyond self improvement. Go follow me there. I'm going to have some additional thoughts on there that I don't have on here. And yeah. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. And I'll see you next video. Goodbye.